This is, without over-exaggerating, without being dramatic, these are the absolute worst rules in every combat patrol so far. Just as I was finishing processing all the changes and updates with Codex Custodes, Games Workshop decided to drop their combat patrol rules. And honestly, first of all, the box is absolutely great. It's one of the best combat patrols ever. Like the box contains absolutely top tier units, like all the essentials. You got Wardens, you got Custodian Guards, you got Alarus Terminators and Blade Champions, so you basically have all the staples you see in every single list now. But the rules, the rules are so bad. Let me show, let's make this video quick and straight to the point. The Custodes Combat Patrol is called 3 Strains Gilded Blades. You have, just like before, ability to choose which of the Custodian units you will include in your combat patrol, because you can't include all of them, obviously, that would be too powerful. So you basically have to choose either Custodian Wardens or Alarus Terminators, which is honestly quite fine. Like, you would have few units, but yeah, it's you're already familiar with it in Custodes. However, it's not, you know, difference between 5 Wardens or 3 Alarus Terminators. You are choosing between 2 Alarus Custodians or 3 Custodian Wardens. So yeah, that's right there. Absolutely fantastic. A combat patrol I would be often reminding you guys is the World Eaters one, where you have 20 Khorne Berserkers, 10 Jackals, and an absolutely amazing champion. Yeah, so here you have either 3 Wardens or 2 Alarus Terminators, but that's not all bad, because you obviously have your regular Custodian Guards, right? So 5 guys. Nope, also 3 Custodian Guards. So you have total, so far, including the champion, the Blade Champion, you have between 6 and 7 models in the whole combat patrol. You know, and it would be fine if they were like truly, you know, Custodians, the movie Space Marine archetype, so they are super powerful, everyone basically is a character, but they aren't really. And the Custodian Guards, they all have the Sentinel Blade and Presidium Shield, so they have 4 wounds a pop, but quite low damage when it comes down to it. So yeah, it's already not great. Now, it's just the beginning, honestly, because as I mentioned, if they were good in rules-wise, it would be still okay, but they really aren't. Their Martial Kata is basically the same as it was in previous Combat Patrol, where it was already, you know, a shrinked version from the index. So just like in the Codex, every time you fight, your unit can choose either sustained hits or lethal hits, which is fine. However, having the top unit size of 3 models, it won't come up as often as it would drastically change the game, and they have no ways of rerolling whatsoever. No enhancements, no stratagems, no datasheet rules, nothing. Speaking of enhancements, they are just plain boring. Maybe not boring, but they're like very mediocre. The default one is Watchman of Terra, and while the bearer is within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, it has OC 4. I hate those OC changing enhancements. Here it may be the go-to, because as we'll talk in a moment, they have really the worst board control of any combat patrol. But still, 4, it's like, you better kill something from the other unit, because it's not even 5. Like, honestly, if enemy has 3 Thermagants, they are stealing objective from you. No matter that you're the, you know, greatest Blade Champion in the Empire. Sorry, only OC4. The optional enhancement is Warrior Exemplar, and this one is each time the bearer destroys an enemy unit, roll 1d6. On a free up, you gain 1 CP. Now, first of all, it's a CP on a free up, but unlike, for example, in Tau or something, you only get it when the bearer destroys a unit. And you may have noticed that it's a bearer, not a bearer's unit. And that's because your Blade Champion, he doesn't even have the leader special rule. In fact, there are no special rules for Custodes beyond the martial kata. So Wardens have no rules, Alarus Custodians have no rules, Custodian Guard have no rules, like they have the Presidium Shield for +1 to wound, and Blade Champion absolutely no rules, so no advancing and charging, nothing. And he can't even lead a unit. Like, to add salt to the insult, to add insult to the injury, Tristrin has a description here. Tristan does not have a bodyguard unit, however, so make sure to use terrain to your advantage and watch out for enemy sharpshooters. Why? I mean, I see people often running him solo, honestly, because otherwise you would have only 2 units, which would be problematic. I mean, it's still problematic for regular board control and your secondaries, but oh my god, it's just bad. Yeah, so if enemy has a... Oh, and he obviously has no access to lone operative, because in Thousand Suns, in several other combat patrols, the leader is also alone, because, for example, he has no matching armor type, like Gravis Captain or Power Armored Thousand Suns. He's the... not Sorcerer, you know, but the Sorcerer. Infernal Master. But the Infernal Master gets lone operative, so it's actually super cool in form of an enhancement. So they actually thought, okay, we can't put him in a unit, let's make something up for it. Here you get absolutely nothing. You just have a solo guy. Sure, he has 6 wounds, toughness 6, 2 up, save 4 up, but honestly, yeah, he's not really that much more survivable than... Yeah, it's just, he provides nothing for the unit, honestly, for your army. Okay, I mentioned already the objectives, because honestly, okay, the army so far is pretty weak, like, okay, but maybe, like Tau, they have an amazing objective, secondaries, to score many points. Well, let's look at them. The first one, the default one, is Rise the Vexilas, and I will compare this one to the Orc in a moment, but basically from the 3rd battle round onwards, so not even the 2nd one, from 3rd, you have only 3 turns to score it. At the end of your turn, you score 3 victory points if you control the objective marker closest to your opponent's battlefield edge, and you also control the objective marker closest to your battlefield edge. So basically you have 3 turns to score 9 victory points in total for this secondary, compared to 20 for Tau just surviving with their ethereal. Although it probably changed, because I'm still thinking about the previous combat patrol. But basically you have to control both objectives on both edges of the board with an army that's top speed is 6 inches. They have no ways of advancing and charging. And because I haven't mentioned it already, they don't have deep strike. Nobody, none of them. None of them, even the Alarus Custodians, the Terminator equivalent, they do not have deep strike. Nothing in your army can deep strike. No stratagems for it, nothing. You are foot slogging everything, and yeah, no deep strike, no advance or charge, no transport, nothing. The only thing you can use is Inescapable Vengeance stratagem, which is also hilariously bad. When you think about it, it's 1 CP, thankfully. In your movement phase, you get 2 to your advance rolls. So not even for movement, because then it would be actually okay, because you could advance after all. No, it's add 2 to advance rolls in an army that can absolutely not advance and charge, despite having character that in their codex is known for allowing advance and charges. So that's basically mockery at this point. So yeah, you have 3 units, one of which is a singular character. Total of 7 models if you went with the Wardens. and you have to control your objective marker and your opponent's objective marker to get 3 victory points. It's it's really bad. It's really bad. The optional secondary objective is a little cooler. Actually, it's quite cool. It's just a little underwhelming points-wise. But it's called Victory's Prize. And each time an enemy unit is destroyed, you score 3 victory points. Against Genestealer cards, I suppose it can be quite a fun and cool way to score some points. Against Guard, probably. But it's still only 3 victory points, and against some units you may end up, killing 2 big units and getting 6 victory points. But it also has a second bullet point. Each time an Adeptus Custodes model from your army is destroyed, model. Jesus, I honestly thought it was units, but no. Each time an Adeptus Custodes model from your army. So you have to kill a whole unit for 3 victory points, but each time you lose a model, you lose 1 victory point to a minimum of 0 victory points, which they shouldn't give this a minimum of 0 victory points, because it would be at least cool to have the only secondary in the game that can net you negative victory points. That would be amazing. So if enemy kills 2 of your units and leave, for example, your Lone Blade champion alive, you have net -6 victory points. So you better kill many units. It's even worse than I thought. So maybe the stratagems, but the Gilded Spear is 1 CP stratagem in the fight phase that allows you to pile in 6 inches instead of 3, which is cool, I guess, if you made a long charge and some of your models are lagging behind, because that's the only way the piling is working. It's before the fight, just get to pile in a little more. And Inescapable Vengeance we already mentioned, and Overwhelming Magnificence. In your opponent's charge phase, just after an enemy unit declares a charge, you choose the selected Custodes unit, and enemy has -2 to charge rolls, which otherwise would be quite cool, but honestly the Custodes are quite good in fight phase. They should have something in shooting, maybe, obviously some mobility improvement, something to allow them to get in combat. Yes, stat line wise, sure, they all have 2 up save, toughness 6 or even 7 on the Alarus Custodians. They have 3 to 4 wounds and 6 on the champion, and they all have OC2, which makes the enhancement to go to objective control of 4 really, really bad. They have good stats, but one stat that isn't above average is their movement. Alarus Custodians actually move 5 inches. They have no ways of deep striking, again, no advance and charging, so they will be slowly moving forward. And even though they are quite tough and killy, simply because they lack the amount of attacks, they will be pretty hardly, bogged down. They will be targeted. So this is not even a fun combat patrol to play. I would prefer a combat patrol that, maybe is more high risk, high reward type of situation, that you need to do something amazing, like kill their enemy warlord with your warlord for some higher upturn. But no, it's just 7 models. Again, 7 models that you move every turn. You do some minimal shooting. You then in turn 3 probably charge. And by then enemy will have so many victory points from primary, from their secondary probably, that the game will be just pointless and it will be absolutely no fun. And honestly, it's so disheartening for the new players who just thought, damn, the combat patrol looks cool, because it looks cool. It's absolutely great combat patrol content-wise. It's great to have this small unit. Custodes were my first army in 8th edition to bring them to a tournament, because I wanted small body count to have better, control of my own army, to take less time thinking, less time moving everything. So yeah, it's really good beginner's army for that point, and also because they are so cheap, point per dollar still, but it's just so unfun to play. And yeah, it's really no good rules, no special rules whatsoever. That's absolutely got it. I don't know why they decided that the champion can't join a unit. It could, for example, join the custodian guard only. I don't know, but no, he's not a leader. Allows custodians, they should have deep strike at least, because otherwise I guess taking wardens is better simply for the volume of attacks, if nothing else. And in the combat patrol size games, having toughness 7 versus 6 won't matter that much. I don't know. Let me tell what you're thinking about. Oh, and I also mentioned the secondary objective versus the orcs. The orcs have very similar one, except they get straight 3 victory points for controlling opponent's objective, and they get +1 victory point for every objective in No Man's Land. So yeah, they just need to control that one objective for 3 victory points. They can get up to 5 victory points per turn. Yeah, but they are orcs, so they just get better stuff, as we saw with the Codex and combat. I don't know who made those rules, but it's not that they are not powerful anymore. That's not the problem, because yeah, let's say toning down something is one thing, but making army absolutely dull and weak and a punching bag is something completely different. Like, whoever made the Custodes rules have no, have no scope of what's happening in Warhammer now. They have been working of an written assignment in isolation without comparing anything to anything. It's just, yeah, like at this point, when I saw the secondary, when you get victory points for killing a unit and lose victory points for losing a model, I'm not even mad at this point. It's just ridiculous. It's funny. I just don't have enough energy in me to laugh from it anymore. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video anyway. Please don't downvote it, because Custodes got wrecked. I am a Custodian player. As I mentioned, I've been playing since 8th edition. I absolutely love the army and I will try to make them work, but it's really, really disappointing. And yeah, GW dropped the ball so hard with this one. Anyway, guys, have a great day, have a great weekend. See you later. Bye bye.